Good afternoon. My name is Lakin Troop. I'm currently a student at the University of Florida studying agricultural education and communication with a minor in agricultural and natural resource law. My workshop is going to be based on building communities. My target audience will be high school age students in agricultural education programs. So think students in FFA chapters, students that are sitting in the agricultural education classroom and directly involved with the industry. The goal of this workshop is that students are able to identify resources in their community, identify what types of communities they're in, and combine those two ideas to make a difference in their community. This could be in their ag classroom, their family, organizations they're involved in their FFA chapter, officer teams, and more. And these skills could go beyond their involvement in the agricultural industry and could be used in other school organizations. It could be used in other leadership programs, and these skills could even relate to career objectives later on in life. The first goal is to teach students what community means. The objective is that students will be able to identify what communities they're involved in. This will differ from student to student, and this will actually be where I share the interactive learning activity. So what will happen is while all of the students are sitting in the same room, I will explain that there are pieces of a poster that all go together like a puzzle. And when the music starts, they will get up and go find these pieces of the poster. And when they start to put it together, they're going to come to this visual that talks about the definition of community. So it is a group of people who live in the same area, share interests, and/or share identity. This is going to lead us into our first discussion on what community truly means. Students will be able to have this open discussion, which will be followed in LearnBooks, which is a small booklet full of guided questions, resources, and blank space so students can take notes and better answer these questions so that there are thought-provoking questions as well as those guided questions that get them to these objectives. So in this goal and objective, we are hoping that they understand that community means more than the people that live in your town. So for example, for me, my community is more than Milton, Florida. Some of my community is the College of Ag in Gainesville. Some of my community is the people my age that are involved in agriculture. There's so many different types of communities that students can experience in person and now online. Through this, we'll start that discussion on community and we'll start asking the questions of, with this definition in mind, what communities are we involved in? Students are going to have different answers, but some things that should stay the same are their agricultural classes, their family, their group of friends, their FFA chapter, possibly even their officer teams, and that idea will be able to help us build. And it'll be able to get them interested and excited to learn once they're able to get up and go on that scavenger hunt that's really unexpected. And they'll be able to work together, communicate, maybe even meet a few friends along the way, which often helps students feel more comfortable. And when students are more comfortable, they are more willing to interact. They're more willing to learn. After we have this guided discussion, we move on to our next goal, teaching students what resources are available to them. In the LearnBooks that we discussed before, there will be a QR code that discusses what resources there are. So the USDA website, Farm Bureau websites, the National FFA Organization website, Florida FFA Association website, and other agricultural-based resources that provide educational opportunities for students and adults. They provide resources for grants, scholarships, and other programs. They provide events and webinars and seminars that allow students to gain more information on the industries they're involved in special interests they have, and learning and growing more about this industry. And once again, all of this is so that they can use it for the agricultural industry, gain those communication skills, and be able to relate all of this back to their community of their choice once they leave the workshop that day. This workshop would be in person, and the purpose of the LearnBook that has all of these questions and resources is so that when they leave that workshop, they take the information home with them. Having those questions in a workbook helps them recall it later and even share it with other students who maybe didn't get to go to that workshop. It allows them to share what's so important about building communities. This could be identifying issues within their own community and being able to find the resource to help, whether it's looking for that grant for their FFA chapter, or whether it's finding that scholarship so that their group can apply for them and pursue a degree. This will be while we identify these resources, and we identified the ones on the QR code that go to the link tree with all of the websites we talked about. There will also be a resource web. All of these lines are blank space so that we can write what other resources we have, because when I was asking the questions before about what resources are available, many of the students only answered with family members, including parents, or their agricultural educator. And there are so many more resources out there that are available to them. There will be a matching web outline in their Learn books so that they can, once again, fill that out, take it home, and be able to use this information later. Maybe they're working on a project with their agricultural class and they're wondering who they could reach out to for this. They'll be able to open that Learn book, look in that web, and find one of those resources that might work for their workshop. And finally, we're hoping to teach students how to use resources to benefit their community. The objective for that is students will discuss resources to benefit their communities. This is another very interactive activity. Students will be given a sheet of paper. Once they have that sheet of paper, they will have the length of a singular song to create a paper airplane, which is obviously seemingly easy tasks. After that song is over, all of the students will meet on a line in the front of the room we're in, and they will throw their paper airplane as far as possible. That paper airplane most likely isn't going to go very far. Once we get back from building that and flying those paper airplanes, we're going to discuss how it often feels like we meet our own challenges in our community, and maybe we had a plan that we just don't quite know how to follow through, how to put it together. Maybe it's we want to plan a fundraiser, but we really don't know how to get there. Or maybe it's we want to build a greenhouse for our ag program, but we don't quite know where to get the funds to create this learning experience for all of the students in the ag program. After we have those discussions, we're going to come back and they'll be given an instruction sheet. This instruction sheet will be telling them how to build an effective paper airplane. They will then have another length of a song to try building this paper airplane with the instructions that they were given. While these instructions were given and they build this new paper airplane, at the end of that song, we will once again line up and throw those paper airplanes. And they will notice that more than likely they're going to go a lot further because they had a resource to help make a plan a reality. Once they are able to use that resource, they're going to be brought back to their seats and put into a discussion with guided questions about how does this relate to helping our community members. With this, we are going to guide students so that they come to the understanding that with resources, we're able to take a plan and make a better outcome. This plan may have been just building a paper airplane for our small workshop, but this same idea and concept could go far beyond what we talk about with a sheet of paper. This could go, like I said before, building greenhouses for educational purposes, allowing students to create bigger projects. And with these resources, like the ones on the QR code, they'll be able to use their resources, put it to a plan, and create an effective outcome. After this, we're going to discuss how all of this comes together. And I know I discuss guided questions a lot, but I truly believe that when students are able to have open discussions with those guided questions, they see how we get to this answer so that they can apply the same ideology and the same thought process when they leave. And maybe with these guided questions, they're able to better explain it to their peers that once again may have not been able to be at that workshop. At the conclusion, there will be some reflective questions in that Learn book that we're going to take the length of about 2 songs to answer on our own. And then we're going to come back as a group and share some of those answers and have a thoughtful discussion about how can we find resources in our community and how can we put that to use to fix issues in our community, build a brighter community, and become more involved. If anything, I'm hoping to empower students to create a brighter future for their own ag programs and beyond. At the end of the workshop, students will be able to scan a QR code that takes them to a form. This form, they will be able to fill out a small questionnaire, and in that questionnaire, there will be 3 questions, which isn't very long, but if I were to make it longer, I fear that maybe students wouldn't be as thoughtful in their answers, or maybe they wouldn't pay as much attention in giving true feedback, so that it wasn't taking as much of their time. So these short reflective questions will allow me to be better as a facilitator in the future and go forward. So the first is, how would you define your communities and the most beneficial resource? For all of these students, their communities are going to be slightly different. With this, I'm hoping that they are able to take the resources that they are given and put it to work. What was your favorite part of the workshop? This is just to gain what students enjoyed. I have a feeling that most of them are going to enjoy the paper airplane exercise the most, just because it's such a hands-on learning experience. And finally, what part of the workshop would you like to see improved? This would just be an open-ended discussion about what they wish maybe would have been a little different during their workshop, or how they could have taken that and made it better, or how I could have taken that and made it better. All of this is to make better workshops for the future so that students can better understand the material and students can take this home and make it more useful. I thank you for your time today, and I look forward to seeing you at the Building Communities workshop.